Oasis are reuniting in 2025. We know that Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher are going to be there. But what about the other ex-members of Oasis? Who is going to be in the lineup when the band hits the stage next August? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the channel. So Oasis is reuniting. It's happening in 2025. It's going to be huge. It's mainly or pretty much sold out for all the shows that have been announced so far. And of course, we know that Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher are going to be leading the lineup for these reunion shows. Of course, they are the core of Oasis, but we also have a lot of ex-members of the band who could join them on stage. So I thought I would talk about each ex-member of the band and give you my thoughts on the chances that they could come back for the Oasis reunion tour in 2025. So let's start with Oasis Mark I, the original members of the band. So of course we have Mr. Paul Bonehead Arthurs. His chances of coming back for the Oasis reunion, in my opinion, 100%. The thing you got to understand about Bonehead is that he is one of the original members of Oasis, or The Rain, which was the band before Oasis, which was a band before Liam Gallagher or Noel Gallagher was in the group. And so Bonehead is truly an OG when it comes to the Oasis lineup. And of course, he was an integral part of the lineup of Oasis from 1994 to 1999. He was a rock solid rhythm guitar player, really one of the best, and a true personality in the band. He wasn't just a secondary guitar player. Everybody knew who Bonehead was, and really he was part of the core of that band, and I think he helped to keep it together between the Gallagher brothers. Of course, he left the band in 1999. Be Here Now was the last album that he played with Oasis, but he has kept busy over the last few years because he's joined Liam's touring band, so he's become a big part of the extended Oasis family. And then, of course, there's the rumors that I've seen online that Bonehead was integral to getting Oasis back together and mending fences and building bridges, or whatever you want to call it. Bonehead was there, and so he should be there on stage when they reunite next year. It wouldn't be an Oasis reunion without Bonehead, so if he's not there, we're going to protest and we're going to riot. All right, so let's talk about Paul Guigsy McGuigan, the first bass player for Oasis. I give it about a 25% chance that he'll come back. So like Bonehead, Guigsy is an OG member of Oasis going back to The Rain, and of course a big part of the 1994 to 1999 Oasis lineup. But the thing about Guigsy is that he never really seemed to be that enthusiastic about being in Oasis. He didn't really seem to love being in the band. He left for the first time in 1995 due to nervous exhaustion. He came back, but then he eventually quit in 1999 along with Bonehead. And unfortunately, it seems that Guigsy really isn't that great of a bass player, or at least he wasn't back in the heyday of Oasis. I don't know if this is true. You can let me know in the comments, but I've always heard the rumors that Noel Gallagher re-recorded all of Guigsy's bass parts. Of course, he was able to do it live, but Noel Gallagher re-recorded, or just didn't even let him record. He just recorded all of his bass parts on the Oasis studio stuff. So maybe he just doesn't really have the chops or really the interest to play with Oasis anymore. Guigsy seems to be happy living the quiet life away from the limelight. I'm sure he's got some money from his Oasis days, so I think there's little chance of him coming back. I don't want to say 0, but 25% seems fair. All right, so let's talk about the original Oasis drummer, Mr. Tony McCarroll. I give it a 5% chance that he's going to come back. And like Bonehead and like Guigsy, Tony McCarroll is an OG member of The Rain, an OG member of Oasis. He was there along with Guigsy and along with Bonehead before Liam or Noel came around. And of course, he was kicked out. And of course, he was there for the recording of Definitely Maybe, but then he was kicked out after they did Some Might Say, the first single from Morning Glory in 95. Something about his drumming abilities not really meshing with the band, and a personality clash with Noel Gallagher. But the thing is, as much as he's been slagged off over the years by the band and by some fans, I've really come to appreciate and love his drumming over the years. It's hard hitting, it's no nonsense, and that's a style that I think really worked for the band, and something that I think it's sorely missed after Definitely Maybe. But that said, I can't see Tony McCarroll coming back into the fold. He's too far removed from Oasis history, and there are better drummers in the mix, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And I don't think there's any love lost between the Gallagher brothers and Tony McCarroll, so unless the Gallagher brothers suddenly get all touchy-feely and want to give Tony McCarroll a call to relive old times, I don't see it happening. So I don't want to say it's 0% because that would be maybe, I'm hedging my bets a little bit. So I'll say 5%. Then let's talk about the next drummer in the Oasis lineup, and that would be Mr. Alan White. I'm going to give it a 60% chance that he comes back for the reunion tour. I think if you were going to ask and poll Oasis fans which Oasis drummer would they like to come back for this reunion, I think that Alan White would probably come out number one, and on top, I think he would be the number one choice because he drummed for the band during not definitely maybe because that was Tony McCarroll, but during the heyday from Morning Glory to Heath and Chemistry, he's the drummer that played on some of their most well-known singles like Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova and Don't Look Back in Anger and a lot of the other big hits that people know and love. And he left the band under strange circumstances. I don't really know what happened to Alan White. Again, let me know in the comments. I don't really know what was going on. I know he's having some wrist issues back at the time in the early 2000s that caused his brother Steve, who I'll talk about in a minute, to fill in for him on a couple of tours with Oasis, and he was missing shows, but otherwise I don't really know why Alan White left, but I guess maybe that's just left for the history books. The thing about Alan White is, like I was saying, I've come to really like Tony McCarroll's drumming from Definitely Maybe, and I've come to really dislike Alan White's drumming over the years. I love his work on Morning Glory. I think that's really great, even in To Be Here Now, but then afterwards I felt his drumming started to decline on a lot of the records, his constant use of shuffles, his inability to just play a straight beat with the kick drum and the snare and the hi-hat. It really started to bother me from being a fan of the different drummers of Oasis. I think it would be cool to see Alan White. I know a lot of people want to see him up there, but for me, he's not my favorite Oasis drummer, but I think there is a good chance he'll be there. I think he was teasing some stuff on social media, so we'll give Alan White a solid 60%. And then we're going to talk about Alan White's brother, Steve White. I'm going to give it a 10% chance that he'll be there for the Oasis reunion. Like I said, while we're talking about Alan, toss in his brother Steve. You know what? The best time that I saw Oasis live, which was in 2001 on the tour of Brotherly Love with the Black Crowes, I saw Oasis front row. I was drenched. I was soaked from the rain going into the venue, but I saw Oasis front row. Steve White was filling in for his brother Alan on the drums, and he sounded fantastic. Oasis rocked so hard that night. Of course, he's known for being Paul Weller's drummer, but he had a hard-hitting feel that really suited Oasis. I don't really think that he's going to be there. I don't think anybody would expect him to be there. He's not a name that anybody would want to reunite with Oasis, but he was one of my favorite drummers when I saw Oasis live, so it's nice to dream. Now moving on to Oasis Mark II, the band's lineup post the year 2000. I'm going to talk about Gem Archer, the guitar player for Oasis. I think it's a 100% chance that he's going to come back for the reunion tour. Gem Archer was a fixture of the Oasis lineup. Since 2000, he was Noel Gallagher's right-hand man, and then he had a hand in the songwriting side of Oasis, not really writing a lot of their classics or anything like that, but I really liked his songwriting contributions, songs like To Be Where There's Life and Hung in a Bad Place and A Bell Will Ring, and so Gem has made a huge impact on his time with Oasis. And then after Oasis broke up in 2009, he went on to join BDI with Liam and the other ex-Oasis members without Noel. And then after BDI broke up, he went on to continue to work with Noel up until this day in the High Flying Birds. He's an amazing guitar player. He can handle the leads. He can handle the rhythm parts. And I really think he should be up there with Oasis, with Bonehead and Noel. I think we should have a 3-guitar assault on stage with Oasis. A lot of bands are doing it these days. I don't think they should go full on Smashing Pumpkins or anything, but I think there should be those 3 guitars on stage. Or maybe you have Bonehead come on for the Definitely Maybe To Be Here Now songs, and then you have Gem come on for everything past Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. Either way, Gem and Bonehead need to be there. Moving on to drummer Chris Sherrock, I think there's a 90% chance that he's going to be in the lineup for the Oasis reunion next year. Chris is the same as Gem. He was part of Oasis towards the end. He was the last Oasis drummer before they broke up. Then he joined a BDI as well, and then like Gem, he's been part of the High Flying Birds over the last several years. I love Chris. I think he's a good drummer, but I would rather see somebody like Zach Starkey or even Alan White take the kit. I think that would make the reunion a little bit more legitimate. Not to say that Chris won't do a great job. Obviously, he does a great job when he plays with Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, and when he played on BDI, he sounded great on those records as well. I have a feeling he will be there. I think some of the other drummers might be better. Maybe they'll bring them all out on stage. Either way, I think Chris will kill it. All right, so let's talk the Mark II bass player, Mr. Andy Bell. I'm going to have to go 50% that he comes back for the reunion. Yeah, I have to go 50-50 on Andy Bell. Bell. I don't know where he stands with the Gallagher brothers at this moment in time. I know that he was in BDI along with Gem and along with Chris as the ex-members of Oasis minus Noel, and then after that he went back to his original band Ride, but then they opened up for Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds at a gig in the UK last year, so maybe that opens up the possibility. It really depends if Ride has any big plans next year, or even if Andy Bell wants to go back to Oasis at this time. He's done a lot of different solo stuff. Like I said, he's back with Ride. He's very much an independent kind of guy. He makes his own music. It's not going to be really any big loss to him if he doesn't play with Oasis, but he would definitely be my vote as the person to take on the bass. And I know Russell Pritchard, the bass player from Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, is rumored to be taking on the bass position for this Oasis reunion, and that would be okay. I think he's a super talented bass player. He's great on the backing vocals, but I don't know, it really wouldn't feel quite like a full reunion to me if we had somebody like Russell on bass. So my fingers are crossed for Andy Bell, but I'm going to have to go 50-50 on him. Then let's talk about drummer Zach Starkey, the son of Ringo Starr, the son of a Beatle who played with Oasis during the Don't Believe the Truth and Dig Out Your Soul days. I'm going to give it a 30% chance that he comes back. The thing for me is that Zach Starkey is by far my favorite drummer that has played with Oasis. He's definitely my top choice to play these shows, but I don't really think it's likely that he's going to come back for these reunion shows. He has tons of other projects and other bands. He plays with The Who and other different bands and other different projects all over the place. And really, you know, when you think about his time during Oasis, he didn't really seem like a full-on legitimate full-time member of the band. He definitely felt like a transition drummer, and that he was just there to kind of provide a service and provide some drums for the band after Alan White left. So, you know, I would definitely like to see Zach Starkey come back for this reunion, but I don't really think it's super likely. So I don't want to rule it out completely. So I'll go low at 30%. And then we have guitarist Matt Dayton. If you remember him, he filled in for Noel Gallagher when Noel briefly left the band in the year 2000 on the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants tour. And you know what? I think Matt Dayton coming back, that's a full-on 100% possibility. See, the thing is, guys, is that people online are speculating that Noel and Liam might not even make it to this reunion tour, that they might have a big fight and fall out before we can get to the tour. And if they get to the tour, things might fall out during the tour, and then things are going to get canceled next year. So you know what? We need some sort of contingency. We need a Noel Gallagher contingency. Should Noel not show up for a show, or him and Liam get in a big fight and he walks away, we need a hero. And that hero is Matt Dayton. That's right. If Noel Gallagher walks away during the Oasis Live 25 reunion tour, guys, we don't have to worry. The reunion tour will continue as planned with Liam Gallagher and Matt Dayton at the forefront. So I'm going to give it a 100% chance that Matt Dayton comes back. And for those of you who don't recognize that I'm joking, I'm totally joking. All right, guys. So I've talked about all the different Oasis members and their likelihood and their chances of coming back for this reunion next year. Let me know in the comments below which members you think are going to come back for this reunion. If you like this video, make sure to toss me a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. Make sure to smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Follow me on social media at Nick Chino Music, and check out my band online at foolsunion.com. But I'll see you guys again for another video here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.